Quick disclaimer before we get into the case. I'm having a bad lash day. So if you see a lash just not looking right, ignore it. Ignóralo. We don't need to talk about it. Also, I'm playing around with a new microphone right now. I just got it, and I hope the audio sounds a lot better than it used to. But we'll see. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to another Coffee and Crime episode. As if this is like a show. Welcome back to Coffee and Crime. So last time we talked about the Menendez brothers, we talked about Menudo. I just really hope you guys enjoyed those two cases. The information. I hope you guys did your own research. There's still no updates. I was hoping that by the time I filmed another one, there would be an update on it. Not yet, but hopefully soon. Now, I do want to preface this before I get started by saying that all of the information that I have is public information. You can go ahead, do your own research, form your own opinions. And I also watched a video by the channel Con Sabor a Café. She has great videos. I watched plenty of them. She has so many true crime cases that are very interesting, but all her videos are in Spanish. So if you prefer a video like solely in Spanish, then I would highly recommend to go check her out. I'll put the video that she did about today's case linked down below. I will be doing it in English. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about Toño Bicicleta. Now, for this case, okay, let me fill you in. So I was talking to my mom about what the next case would be after I covered Menendez brothers and Menudo. And I was like, I don't know what to cover. And I had an idea of either covering the Jennifer Dulos disappearance. I also thought about doing the case about Luis Figueroa. That one actually was going to be my next one. But then my mom asked me, ¿Tú escuchado de Toño Bicicleta? And I was like, who? Who in the world is Toño Bicicleta? Because first of all, that's a dumb nickname. And she said, búscalo, look him up, you'll see. And I did. And I can't say I went down a rabbit hole because unfortunately there wasn't really a lot of information. But it was really interesting. This guy is a savage, or was a savage. I knew this had to be the next one because I was up all night looking up whatever I could. I need a sip of coffee. Hold on. So today we're going to be talking about the folklore of Toño Bicicleta. He is still very well known around the island, at least I think so. He just terrorized the island of Puerto Rico for so long, evading the police and just a menace to the island. Francisco Antonio Garcia Lopez was born on July 19th, 1943 to parents Esteban Garcia Medina and Antonia Lopez Vargas. There are conflicting reports as to where he was born. Police files say that he was born in Yauco, Puerto Rico. A journalist by the name of Alexis Morales, who took interest in Lopez's life, believes that he was born in Maricao, more specifically in the Indiera Alta Barrio. Others believe that he was born in Lares, Puerto Rico. A lot of people debate as to how he got his nickname, Toño Bicicleta. Some people say that he was always riding around El Barrio on a bicycle. Some people say that he stole a bicycle in his youth. Who's to say that he didn't steal the bike and that's the bike that they saw him riding around in? It wouldn't surprise me that he stole the bike and then was just riding around in it to like rub it in the kid's face. I don't know. But the fact that he was always riding around on a bicycle, jorobando por el campo, is what earned him the name Toño Bicicleta. And just to make it easy, I'm going to be calling him Toño for the rest of the video, so we can just follow along easily like that. Quick side note, I do want to mention that Toño was un jíbaro. Now, if you're not aware what a jíbaro is, I'm going to teach you, okay? Let's call this Boricua Lesson 101. Now, un jíbaro is essentially a farmer, okay? So these are the people in Puerto Rico who mainly live towards like the countryside, which is what we call el campo. The majority of my family live in the countryside. A good portion of my mom's side of the family lives in el campo. I'm pretty sure my dad has some family in el campo too, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so they're very self-sustaining. They grow crops, they raise animals on their farm. They're even salesmen, vendiendo, selling whatever it is that they have. They're very resourceful people, so they work on their hands and their feet, and they know the island very, very well and how to get around. Now, like many jíbaros, Toño, he knew his way around the island, and at roughly 5'2" and 130 pounds, he was quick on his hands and feet, and he knew what he was doing. I couldn't find exactly what year he met his wife in, let alone the year that they got married, but Toño's first wife was Antonia Garcia, with whom he had 3 children with, and those children were Francisco Antonio, Maria Milagros, and Carmen Dolores. Now, what's her name? Now, Antonia, she had 3 children from a previous relationship, and Toño was very emotionally and physically abusive to her and his stepchildren. His own son even went on to say that he witnessed the abuse that Toño inflicted on his stepchildren. This is horrible. On one account, Toño took one of his stepsons, shoved a banana in his mouth, and then proceeded to dunk him underwater. Now, after he, essentially tried to drown his stepson, he took the kid and threw him por un barranco, a cliff. And if you've seen the cliffs in Puerto Rico, it's a miracle that this kid even survived. Now, when the child climbed back up the cliff and he had this huge, cut on the side of his face, to which Toño proceeds to sew up the wound with no proper care at all. Just go ahead, sew it up. So not only would he treat his stepchildren just terribly, he would cheat on Antonia many times, and she knew about it because he did it in front of her. I mean, he had no shame bringing a woman back to their house and going into their own bedroom. So that's, for the most part, the background information that I was able to find about Toño and his personal life, you could say. In 1968, according to police records, a woman by the name of Gloria Soto was Toño's first victim. Now, in some sources, it says that she was either a mistress, a girlfriend, a wife. I'm not exactly sure which one is true. If you know, please tell me. So Toño found out that Gloria was cheating on him, and he didn't like that. So he decided that the best thing to do was to take a machete and decapitate her. I don't know how to lead from that, because just off with her head. That's what he decided. Because, not that anybody should be cheating, but according to him, only he can do it. But do you guys know the musical Six? Do you know how in one of the songs it starts off with divorced, beheaded, died? I feel like this is turning into the Puerto Rican edition of Six. And it's gonna be divorciada, decapitada, muerta, or something like that. I'm so sorry. Now, for the murder of Gloria Soto, Toño was sentenced to 185 years in prison, but he escaped 2 years later. And in 1974, he was captured again by a civilian in the Guaraguao barrio in Bayamon. And there, he was held in the Sabana Hoyos prison in Arecibo until he escaped again in 1981. Then in 1984, he broke into the house of Gilberto Perez Valentin, who at the time was mayor of Maricao. And thankfully nobody was hurt, but Gilberto did go on to say that Toño stole silver coins, food, a machete, a flashlight, and a Smith & Wesson .45 caliber gun. So now, because Toño escaped from jail so many times and he just kept evading police officers wherever he went, he became a very popular lore around the island. He was used as the boogeyman, or el cuco type, to scare the kids. My mom even was telling me how my grandma would use that tactic with her and her brothers because they weren't coming home early enough or whatever. So my grandma would be like, sigue andando hasta tarde porque después Toño bicicleta te va a coger. Mommy didn't care. Okay, she was like, meh. Now, because of that going around, I feel like people failed to realize that he wasn't a fantasy. He wasn't this fairy tale type thing, just a scary thing to spread around the barrios and the campos. He was a real menace to the people of Puerto Rico. During his time out of prison, while evading the police, he went around committing multiple crimes, multiple rapes, kidnappings. In 1981, his next victim was Olga Iris Caban. He broke into her house, held her at knife point, and then threatened to kill her whole family if she didn't go with him. He held her captive until 1984, when there was an operation in plan to capture him. He got away, and in doing that he had to leave her behind, so she was able to escape. Now, unfortunately, Toño ended up kidnapping her again, and she was held captive until her family was able to rescue her somehow. And I couldn't find how they rescued her. I really tried to find that information, but unfortunately it wasn't anywhere. What is it that he had? He couldn't, not that he should have been finding somebody else, but he couldn't find someone else? Why do you have to get this poor girl twice? Now, it was also said that he attempted to kidnap a woman by the name of Luz Delia Soler. I know I butchered that name. I'm so sorry. Now, allegedly back in the 1970s, two women by the name of Luz Caraballo and Aura Camacho said that they were kidnapped by Toño Bicicleta. I do say allegedly only because, due to the fame around the name Toño Bicicleta, he was essentially used also as a scapegoat for other crimes committed around the islands. So it could have been someone else doing these horrible things, and they could easily pin it on Toño Bicicleta because this is what people were saying. You know, there's a guy going around the island, he's doing all these terrible things, and it was easy just to pin it on him. So there are crimes that people say it was Toño Bicicleta, and it might not have even been Toño Bicicleta. Were they kidnapped? I don't doubt it. Was it Toño? We may never know. Now, in 1987, Toño he killed him. Now, in 1987, Toño killed his stepfather, Antonio Caraballo Gonzalez, and afterwards tried to burn the body. After this, he went on to kill his uncle, Pablo Lopez Vargas. Now, it's said that he did this because he believed that they were informants to the police, so it's like they were like snitching on him and his whereabouts. Now, on January 31st, 1988, Toño killed a man by the name of Luis Rodriguez and kidnapped his 14-year-old girlfriend, Diana Perez. Toño would go on to hold Diana captive for 8 years between the towns of Maricao, Lares, and Yauco. Now, unfortunately, he would go on to beat her senselessly. He would rape her. He would force her to sleep with her feet chained together. On one occasion, he beat her so badly he believed that she was dead, and he went on to bury her until he realized that she was still alive. Now, she was with him until his showdown with police in 1995. She was his final victim. Now, I do want to mention that Diana did go on to publish a book based on her experience with Toño. You know, she recounted everything that she went through during her time captive. It is no longer for sale. I tried to find it, but it's nowhere to be found. It would be such a hard read, though. Now, on the morning of November 29th, 1995, Toño was allegedly working on a coffee plantation in the Castañer ward of Lares, Puerto Rico. Now, the police arrived at around 7:20 in the morning, and according to police, Toño began to resist arrest, which doesn't surprise me, and he was about to attack police officer Luis Merced with a machete. I don't know what it is with this guy and his machetes. And that's when police officer Luis Merced went on to shoot Toño in his genitals. According to Diana herself, Toño didn't die right away after being shot. The police went on to repeatedly kick him and mock him as he slowly bled to death. And once he was officially dead, they went on to say, "Se acabó la leyenda." Now, I don't know how true this is. This is definitely a big allegedly. Some say that the order was to kill Bicicleta because of how he basically humiliated the police by evading them for many, many years. Obviously, when his death was announced, a lot of people celebrated the fact that he was finally dead and he wasn't going to cause any more issues to the people of Puerto Rico. Now, as much as many people hated Toño Bicicleta and many people hated him, there were still a lot of people, a surprising amount of people, who believed that he was just innocent and he didn't do anything wrong. You know, saying that he was falsely accused of all these crimes that they said that he was doing. I don't exactly believe that. I'm pretty sure he did everything. But regardless, many people, whether they hated him or they loved him, they went to attend his funeral in the Irizarry funeral home in Lares. I know I butchered that. I'm so sorry. That is the story of Toño Bicicleta. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this was definitely a case that I don't know. I don't know how it's not talked about more. I mean, maybe in Puerto Rico it is, not here, but I don't know. I feel like that's crazy. Here's the thing. Cases in Puerto Rico, I feel like they don't compare to the ones here. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all terrible, okay? Pero Puerto Rico lo hace mejor. I'm just kidding. That's my case for you today. Again, there really wasn't much information to go off of. I wish that there was more. I honestly wish I could have found that book. Part of me wishes I could have found that book. Another part of me is like, that might be a lot to read. But anyway, I do hope that you guys found the case interesting. Let me know what other case I should do next. Honestly, I don't really have that many cases lined up. The ones that I do, they all take place in Puerto Rico, which I'm not mad at, right? But I do want a little bit of variety in my case. I don't want to do any like repeated cases. So let me know what you want to talk about, if there's one that you guys find interesting that you think people haven't talked about as much, like tell me. I will do all the research and I want to know. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching another Coffee and Crime. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next case. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.